Thursday, 2 Grade 1s. Who knew? That's it. Right. Kick off in the stairs, the feature, and Matt Toombs's underbet trend.
Last time winners who hadn't run beyond extended 2 miles 5, 3 from 12, 92% profit. And that's because often they go relatively steadily in this. You historically have seen them fanning out coming into the straight, and a turn of foot and class has been very important. On form, it looks wide open beyond Chihupu, and who knows what form he's in. Yeah, the Hatton's grace. He did have plenty against him, yielding ground, slow gallop. Still disappointing for a horse who goes so well fresh. I want to take him on, siding with one of the up-and-comers with stamina to prove, Lucky Place. Beaten less than 5 lengths in the Coral Cup last year when Nicky's horses were under the weather. Won the Ascot and Relkeel hurdles this season. Gal Roper's getting £6 the Relkeel. He's won the Cleve. Golden Ace has won the Kingwell. So the form's stacking up really well. Of the stamina question, Mark, I remember Bacchanal, who had 5 runs at 2 miles, one in the old 2 mile 5 Cleve for Nicky, and then won. And the vibes at the time were, absolutely confident he'll stay. Exactly the same as Lucky Place here. They seemed very bullish, didn't think they needed to run in the Cleve to check it. This is one of those races that the more I've looked at it, the more I've been prepared to take Chihupu on. I think I was so impressed with him last year. It's taken me a little while to come around to the conclusion that they just may not be in the same form. So Lucky Place, got to prove he's up to it, but I'm getting increasingly sweet on his chances.
Chihupu, as you may have seen, there is 2.3 on Matchbook, 2.3. So, Michael, are you against? And if so, why? And who else are you against?
No, Chihupu looks a standout lay of the day for me on Thursday. Like I say, yes, he's got a very good record fresh. I think he's unbeaten after a break of 3 months or more. He did his usual prep run in Ireland just before Christmas, ran okay, I suppose, over the wrong trip. But you look at the form of last year's win. You look at the horses that didn't finish that far behind him. Admittedly, one of them is going to reoppose Holmes by the Lee, but I don't think it was fantastic form. And again, it comes down to price. It's just ridiculously short. I think this is going to be a big drifter. Don't get me wrong, if the heavens open and it gets really, really soft, but that's going to make it better for other horses as well. I think anything up 6 to 4 or less, I think this is a cracking lay Chihupu. You're taking a lot on chance. And if you're forced to have a bet in the race, I think the War Park is an improving horse. Got a bit to find on the book, but its run last time in the long walk at Ascot was a lot better than it looked, because I think the front 4, or at least the front 5 that day, were all up there throughout. Everything went against this. He didn't get beat very far. He's already won at Cheltenham. I think he's got to go close. But basically, Chihupu is just a ridiculous price for me. Win, lose, or draw. Anything resembling 6 to 4 or less, I'll be against.
Michael is with the Wool Park and willing to stand anything on Chihupu, 2.3 currently. Lee?
Yeah, look, I'm kind of like Matt says, we don't know where Chihupu's at. He'd be odds on, I think, for this. If we kind of knew how he was working, I do think that the layoff is fine for him because we know that he goes well fresh. But I have put in the Wall Park, who I really like. If he goes the Patems, I'll be all over him. If he comes here, I'll still take a chance at the win and the place part against the Chihupu, because he won. He beat Gowl Road in a handicap. He then went, like Michael said, in that long walk. He was staying on very well. He was the eye catcher, if any, in that race behind Crambo. Bought by JP. I like his profile. He's the younger legs. But I've kind of combined the two of them. I think Chihupu is worthy at the top, but I'll be taking the Wall Park win and place.
Muga says Langadan is the incredible Hulk of the National Hunt, and he always gets angry in March. I think that's worth a £25 free bet. I'll give it to you. There you go. Decided. That was very good. Who else we got? Emma.
Yeah, I was just surprised. Home by the Lee, I think 8.4. He just looks like a horse who's in the form of his life. It might be a bit mad saying it now. He is a 10-year-old, but something just seems to have clicked with him this year. He's kind of the last couple of seasons, like he kind of run in snatches, and he'd fly home without ever really doing it. But he's been kind of nearly foot perfect so far this year. He beat Bob Allinger in the Lismullen first time out. Really, really impressive that day. Travelled strongly. Leopardstown then again, maybe looked beat turning in, but flew home again. Look, it's 4th time lucky in the stairs hurdle. It's definitely his last chance for me, but he seems to kind of suck me in every year. But I think this actually might be his year. He just seems to be a different horse. I did a preview with JJ a couple of weeks ago, and he said something has just clicked with him this year, whatever it is. He's just a different horse at home and everything. So I'll give him one last go in the stairs. Like, he hasn't actually been beaten that far by Teahupoo in the past, kind of eye-catching in behind, I suppose, every time he's on the stairs hurdle so far. So I'll give him one more shot. I think at 8.4, he's worth a bit of a chance.
Charlie, the Wool Park seems like the smart one at a price. What do you want to add?
Yeah, not a lot to add. I just think, Ascot, as was said before, didn't really work out from him from a track position point of view. The new course and the stamina app that puts on them should work really well for him, the way he's ridden. And yeah, I think he's obvious and he's a big price.
And Donn, yours is even bigger, 22.
Yeah, Rocky's Diamond. Look, he's obviously a big price for a reason. He fits none of Matt's trends. He's a 5-year-old. No 5-year-old has ever won the stairs hurdle in its current guise. But not many try. The 2015 was the last time there were 5-year-old runners in the race. Tiger Roll was one of those 5-year-olds, so it shows you how long ago that was. And no 5-year-old had ever won the Galmoy hurdle before he went and won it. Like, Declan Queally, he pitched him into the Christmas hurdle at Leopardstown. He ran a massive race there at a massive price. Things didn't go great for him. He didn't jump great, and he still stayed on to finish third. He's 10 lengths to find with home by the Lee on that running. But then he went to Goran and won the Galmoy hurdle. It was kind of a messy race. They didn't go a great pace, but he kept on well to win nicely from the Devil's Coachman, who didn't run badly in the Boyne hurdle there last time. And he probably had a bit more in hand in the winning margin. It didn't seem like he was doing an awful lot in front, but he's only had 6 runs over hurdles. He could improve again. He stays well. He's adaptive in terms of ground. He's versatile in terms of ground conditions. And Declan Queally, he's got his horses in really, really good form all season, really. So I think he's one at a bigger price who just might be a wee bit under the radar.
Confirming Muga's going to get a £25 free bet. That is our £25 free Cheltenham bet competition. Like the video and comment anything you like after we've finished recording, live or during. And the funniest comment of the night is going to win a £25 free bet. But I don't think we should just have one. There'll be more. So keep those funny comments coming in, and we'll reward you with a £25 free bet. Also mention the welcome offer again. There's up to a £100 welcome offer. Sign up to Matchbook today if you don't have an account and use the code GET100. The terms and conditions are all on the website when you sign up for that £100 welcome offer. Ryanair time, Factor Fire. Well, we know this is the destination now. Charlie Poste.
Yeah, as in, I wanted to be against this horse and kept going through the race, and I just couldn't really see anything that was going to beat him. As in, I just like Ile Francais, I can see it, but like the argument, but I don't know. They're just question marks. Protectorat. I think last year was his year, and I just think Factor Fire is a class horse, as in he was very good first time out in the John Durkin, and then he's butted heads up in trip against Gallop and Deschamps. They tried to ride him in different ways each time, and he just came up short. The drop back in trip looks the obvious one, and he's just a real high quality horse that this could be the answer. This intermediate trip on the new track, and his price actually is pretty attractive in all honesty against this competition.
Emma?
Again, Spillane Tower, just couldn't really understand why he's 10.5. Considering his form with Factor Fire, like he was only beaten, was it a neck or so in the John Durkin over a similar trip at the start of the year. Look, I know he disappointed in Kempton, and I think Jimmy Mangan has said, he lost a bit of weight travelling and stuff like that. So you'd have to forgive him for that. It'll be interesting to see do the two of them show up here. Will JP want to split them? But if they did both show up, I think Spillane's Tower is definitely being underestimated in the market at least. I'd be a bit worried about Factor Fire. Like, he's had 2 tough races now against Galopin Deschamps. Back to back. Will that take a little bit out of him? I'm not sure. But Spillane's Tower, if you can forgive him for Kempton, like he was very, very good over this trip last year. There was kind of talks that maybe he might go to Aintree instead, but I'm kind of hoping he'll go here because I think the Ryanair is probably the race that's made for him.
So every year for Boxing Day, before the King George, I try and work out who's going to win. And after the King George, I try and work out who Matt's going to back in the Ryanair. Those are the two things.
Yeah, I like to be predictable, Tom. The trend is that King George runners 8 from 35, 49% profit. And it's because it's an idiosyncratic test that lots of good horses don't take to. Beaten horses tend to be underestimated afterwards, drop in class to this race, and they've got a good record. Agree with everything Emma's said. I remember before John Durkan, Jimmy Mangan said that Spillane's Tower hadn't been out onto the grass until that week. He looked like, to me, fitness beat him. And I'm not convinced that Factorfile is going to run here. Is JP really going to want to rely on Corbett's Cross and his jumping in the Gold Cup? So it might be that Spillane's Tower will be his runner here. And if he is, he's going to shorten a fair bit. I really like him.
Okay. And Michael, you put Spillane's Tower. Is that a back or a lay? That's a back, is it?
I just thought, I agree with everything that everyone's just said. I mean, in the John Durkan, I didn't even know that there was a slight question mark about the horse's fitness that day. The discrepancy in the price is just too much. Factorfile, if he runs, is going to be around about 5-2, and Spillane's Tower is looking bigger than 10. You just can't see the difference. Yes, you've got to figure Spillane's Tower a poor run at Kempton in the King George, but obviously, no disrespect to his trainer, how many away days has that yard had? And I'm sure they'll have learned a lot from that, and they'll do it a lot better when they bring him this time. I think Factorfile could be an overbacked horse because there's definite question marks about other runners. I'm like Charlie, I couldn't bet Protectorat, that'll be a loser. Ile Francais, obvious chance, but Factorfile at 2-1, happy to oppose, and Spillane's Tower, hard to see why he's a 10-1 chance.
Donn, another big price.
Yeah, I think Jello's an underrated horse, Tom. He ran a big race at the festival last year when he finished third behind Grey Dawning and Ginny's Destiny. He was the only horse who was able to go with them at the top of the hill, and in the end they got away from him. But he still kept on well enough to finish third. And he was only 6th last year. He's a better horse this year as a 7-year-old. He was impressed with winning the Peterborough Chase. Then he disappointed at Windsor. He was beaten 23 lengths by Protectorat there, but we know what we're kind of finding out about Windsor. It looks like a very, very sharp track. It didn't seem like he handled it at all. And he put that behind him in the Denman Chase the last day over nearly 3 miles when it wasn't a fast run race. He was in behind and he stayed on well. So that's no, it's an asset to bring into a Ryanair Chase, the fact that you can stay further. And the fact that he's got good Cheltenham form. Finisher Williams said directly after the Newbury race, he was going straight to the Ryanair Chase. It's been his target. And you can see like the fact that he looks like an improved horse this year and he's still young, he's only 7, to me that gives him a chance, and he wouldn't have to step up a huge amount on what he's done so far, the best of what he's done so far in order to be involved.
Emma, I'm being asked that you confirm the pronunciation of your selection, please, because we're all getting it wrong.
Spillane's Tower. How do you say Spillane?
There may have been some Spillanes in there, that's fine. Spillane. Where, are you from Cork?
I am from Cork, Jimmy Mangan country, so...
West Cork? Because according to Micheal DC, West Cork is best Cork.
No, North Cork is definitely best Cork.
This doesn't work. That doesn't work. Oh, we've even got Spillane up on Wikipedia. Right, there we are. Thanks, Dan. Spillane from here on in. Dan Hussey, that is our producer. Dan, overall, you're the only one left to go.
Yeah, and I think everyone's touched on the predominant issue with the Ryanair. It's the same old story every year. Who's actually going to run in the race? And you look at the head of the market, you could probably say that the majority of them are, well, not certain to run by any stretch of the imagination, and others you would say are very doubtful to run. I think Jungle Boogie will definitely run. I would say his chance has to hinge on some of those towards the head of the betting going elsewhere. And I dread to ask Matt about 11-year-old stats in open grade 1s at the Cheltenham Festival, so please don't even put me down with that. But Jungle Boogie is one of the lesser exposed 11-year-olds you'll ever see. It's the only 7 starts and actually seems to finally got some consistency now. Now as if Henry de Bromhead always had a lot of talent, but finally he's seemingly pulling some runs together. I think he's got his perfect conditions in this race. He looks intermediate trip to this kind of any ground he really goes on, and going left-handed, because at Ascot he jumped markedly out to his left, multiple fences, gave away so much distance, still won really impressively. And you go back to last year's Gold Cup where he only went off 16 or 17.0 rather. He only went off a very short price for that, and he travelled into the race so powerfully, just didn't look to get home. I think this is his trip. Still extremely unexposed and has never had these conditions before, which look really sure to suit. So if some of the main protagonists don't turn up, and I'm hoping they don't, I think he will be a leading player. But at this stage, I'm happy to wait till final declarations for his chances.
While I've got you, give us your handicap shouts if you can as well. Any other bets on day 3, Dan?
Yep, so in the plate, I like Gemarond, who won the December Gold Cup. Obviously, I've marked 136. Excuses since he reappeared on New Year's Day with a Venetia yard with just not firing at all. Then a change of tactics on trials day and made a bad error at a vital stage. So I think you can forgive those 2 runs since. dropped a couple of pounds to a mark 142, typically goes forward and has that all-important course form, which was proved so vital to the plate. Obviously, Venetia Williams has a great record in this race as well, and I expect this race to cut up.
You've just put up a Venetia horse in the plate to wind me up after Ferrer Bamboo, and I appreciate that. So congratulations, well done, well done. Kick on, no, well done.
I assume you backed Ferrer Bamboo when he finally had his day this season as well.
Yeah, well done. Go on next.
But I think this would probably be a more solid profile of a horse, and actually has proven he can win a big handicap before you backed him. So Gemarand, I think, in a race that will cut up, has a very decent chance there. And then in the Kim Muir, Man, I think, has got another big handicap in him. He was bounding around in the national trial, the race he won last year, when had a really soft unseat. I think that saved him from having a hard race, but a lot of very solid handicap form to his name. Ran well in the Troy Town, ran well in the Fiestes, and was one of the anti-post leaders for this race last year, having won the national trial. They went to the Irish National instead. I think that probably proved a little bit beyond him. I think he's off a mark 144 based on this national trial run. Obviously, that gets him in no issue with this race. I think he's got another big handicap in him, and Gavin Cromwell won this race last year.
Charlie Post, what you got?
Answer the Cape and the Jack Richards, the returning novice handicap chase. He was placed in the Martin Pipe last year. I was with him then. And then he ran well in a couple of beginners chasing Ireland, shows how competitive they can be behind Impare Pass and others. Bolted up in a novice handicap chase off 130. He's up to 142 now. He was placed, like I say, in the Martin Pipe off 137. I think the mark's workable. He seems to be a very good jumper, and if the ground is slow, I think he's got a big shout in this.
And couple for Lee.
6.5 for the mares. Sorry, I thought I was muted there. 6.5 for the mares all over here. She beat Col Cannon by 11 lengths on just second start, who come out and bolted up at the Dublin Racing Festival there in the bumper. Ran a few runs back, won a handicap at Newmarket, ran third behind the Euphrates and the Iris Cesarewitz. The form of that race has worked out well. New Berggren was in there. Alphonse Legrand, who won the Northumberland Vars and won the English Cesarewitz as well. But then last time out, hosed up in a first hurdle run, beat Kuala Mita of Gordon Elliott, who ran third in the listed mares hurdle there at the Dublin Racing Festival. I just thought she'd tank through the race. She's got that flat form as well. That new course will suit down the ground. And I'm just not so keen on Maureen as some people should. Impressive bumper winner, but I thought she'd done enough wrong to take her on the last day. She's only had one hurdles run, so is 6.5. But I think she could run away with this. I really do. So yeah, very strong in 6.5 in the mares novice.
Okay, and the Wool Park wherever it runs. Yeah,
Patem's or hopefully Patem's for me pocket. I have had a saver in the stairs there, but yeah, hopefully at a bigger price than the Patem's.
Okay, so Lays, Michael, come in again on Tihupo. Why?
Well, I just think we don't know exactly the form the horse is in, and I think there's big question marks over last year's win. And there's 2 or 3 horses in the race I think can improve past it, and it's just too short.
Okay, at 2.3 currently with Matchbook. Matt.
Factor file. I think there's a good chance he'll run in the Gold Cup rather than here. And even if he does run, he's no more than the fair price at around 3.4.
Alrighty. Best bets. Straight back at you, Matt, on day 3. Who's your best?
Lucky place in the Stayers Hurdle.
Donn.
I think Rocky's Diamond is well overpriced in the Stayers Hurdle.
Yeah, big old price, 22.0, as you said already. Charlie.
Factor file on the Ryanair.
Dan.
Just to wind you up even more, Gemarand, Venetia in the plate, 21.0.
Ludicrous. Lee.
6.5 in the mares novice.
I'm going to back it down. Emma.
Spillane's Tower looks way too big in the Ryanair.
Okay, I was hoping you were going to say Spillane's just to really wind us up. That would have fried our head.